Hi, it's Karen from Black Swan Journals, and I'm so excited to share with you my very first journal that I've made for sale. I've intended this journal to be for use as a garden journal, but it could easily be used as a summertime journal as well. So I constructed this journal to be used for planting a garden, designing a garden, documenting how things are growing in the garden regarding like the weather, what kind of yield you got, the varieties you planted, successes, maybe insect problems, how you dealt with it. It's great to keep a record because from year to year, you'll learn what to do and you'll grow in knowledge. So I found this gorgeous beaded mat. It's very heavy, very quality item at an antique store, and it just called out to me to make a journal. um, I am a professional gardener, which is why it called out to me, but I'd love to transition into full-time YouTube content creating for you. Paper crafts, junk journaling, mixed media, painting, drawing, things of that nature. So anyhow, I'm still gardening for now. But this is my first journal for sale. And the closure is just some twine with wooden beads braided. And I found some lovely vintage items to stitch onto it. Lots of vintage buttons. The ribbon flowers are modern, but the jewelry is vintage. There's a bee pin, a hat pin. Some of the buttons have like chenille coverings on them, and they're so lovely. And I stitched them all on, so they're on there for good. But if you didn't like them or they were in your way, you could easily just clip them off and remove them. There's that hat pin. Oh, that's actually an earring made out of leather. It's a leather flower. I thought that was so cool. And here's a vintage rose clip earring. And this I can deconstructed this necklace here. This isn't vintage, but I just loved the shiny coppery colored beads on there. And I love that black one too. That vintage button is really cool. And a few more. That one's really neat too. It's got some nice detail on it. And yeah, and it just simply unties and slips off, and you can set it to the side. And it doesn't really need a closure, but it's always nice to have one. So the mat is really nice. It's definitely hand beaded. This is what I'd call a creative, get out of the box journal. It's a fun journal, and so I'm showing you how large it is because it's not your typical, put this journal in my bag and go to the beach and, do some journaling. It's larger. It's a little chunky, but not too bad, and it could easily be very thin by just taking out a few of the thicker items if you didn't like how chunky it was. So in the front flap, I blanket stitched on some burlap pieces to create a couple of pockets. And here's a little mini tag with some nasturtium. Everything is flower themed, and it has vintage and some newer greeting cards as well. But I included this thank you very much, a vintage greeting card that's lucky enough to have found it blank. And it's also lovely to look at the writing, but it's great when you see something blank and then you can use it. That's vintage. And here's a nice thick journaling card. I always leave my backs blank. I ink dye or coffee dye or something on the backs. Maybe I'll do a little light stamping. But just so that you can always write on the backs of the tags and always leave the fronts very collaged and inspirational to get you going, get you in the mood. So I used a lot of greeting cards throughout this journal, and the other papers are either book pages, ledger pages, or pages I dyed. I use like ink and salt to dye my papers, and sometimes coffee or tea or avocado, but in this case they were ink dyed with salt and ink. And here I cut out a little feather. I drew and cut this little feather for a page edge. Just something different and creative and texture, tactile. You can kind of touch it and play with it if you want. And I made a couple of pockets so that you could put things from the top and remove them from the bottom, or not, just something different. There's a little tiny tuck there if you want to put a paper in there. And all these tags are heavily hand collaged by me. They're not just printed out that way. I fussy cut and then designed and collaged on all these things for you. Oops, I skipped a page. So I went back and just showed you. This is the second page. So yeah, in here I've got a place you can put your date and varieties that you've planted. And on this piece of paper here, there's plenty of lined paper that's inspirational and spacious to write said varieties all over that. And the back has a lot of wow, just to get you in the mood for planting flowers. So beautiful. In this pocket, you can pull it in and out. And on this page, I die cut some paper and embossed it and made a little flip pocket. And inside there's a vintage book page of lupins, and on the back some nice lined paper for notes with a little ladybug or a little ladybird. And down in the bottom pocket, I once I put like a bunch of Latin plant names on my computer, and I print it out now and then and die cut them. And that one says lupin. And there's another little tag for you to journal on. I washi taped all the pages as well. And the stamping going off right off the page. I love that. So these little soap labels I got from the Graphics Fairy. And yeah, they're meant to be a soap label. But I thought they'd be really cool just glued together and create a pocket on both sides of the page. And here is a vintage book page that is about wildflowers. And this one's about garden coreopsis. I just love coreopsis. It's such a great pollinator. And a little seed packet here. I love this greeting card here. It has such a beautiful quote. And the illustration is so gorgeous. The robins at sunset. So pretty. I also wanted to mention that on all the greeting cards, I did stenciling on the fronts, on the insides, and even the back. It just gives it much more personality and inspiration when you're using your journal. And on this page, I fussy cut that cute little bunny rabbit out of a greeting card and made a little tuck, and did some stamping on some scrapbook papers and made another little tuck. And throughout the journal, I have a handful of these vintage seed packets, but they sure do look vintage. I did get them in an antique store, but I feel like they might be a reproduction. So anyway, and this is a authentic book page talking about weeds. Oh, weeds. Story of my life, weeding. But I actually like weeding. You know, it's so gratifying when you're done. It's very, very gratifying to stand back and look at the beauty. So, oh, this is really fun. This is a very large journaling card as well as a pocket that I had a lot of fun arranging and making. And I found these urns on the Graphics Fairy, and I fussy cut them all. And I used to own a flower shop, and you've probably heard me say that if you've seen my videos, but if you're new, and I just can't stop arranging flowers, whether it be with paper or, you know, with cut flowers or planting them in the ground. But so yeah, I fussy cut all of those little flowers there and arranged them into a pot of flowers. And if anyone would like a tutorial on that, I would love to do a step-by-step, my thought process and what I do, how I move it around, the choices I make. Leave me a comment, and I'd love to share my entire process with you. So, yep, there's a paper I embossed there to make a pocket, and I put in some plant stakes that I made. I got this creative idea to make plant stakes to journal on. You know, you can write on them. They're just made out of paper, so. And then I punched in them some flower names, and that one said Dahlia. And on the back, I just did a little uh, paint splatter and watercolor wash just so you could journal on the back. I've made some hidden paper clips throughout the journal and did some collaging. That little frame is actually a stamp that I stamped and then fussy cut the flowers and stuck them in the frame. I thought that looked cute. Here's a really neat envelope, Dance of the Gnomes. Oh, what a cool thing. I want to see the gnomes dancing. I never see them. I have to be awake at night, maybe. Um, but inside there's a few Tim Holtz die cuts for you to play with and another paper that I embossed and did some inking on. Just some things for you to play with if you'd like. And I don't know if you've noticed, but even though the journal's loaded up with lots of fun eye candy and ephemera, each time you remove it from the page, there's all types of writing space for you. And inside the greeting cards and on the backs, there's writing space. So, and as well as on the back of the tags. And here's a really beautiful poem. This is one of Gina Makes It's graphics, and she's on YouTube as well and has an Etsy shop and sells, it's one of her digitals rather, and she sells digitals. I'm actually on her design team. And here's another one of those fun faux paper, well, it's a real paper plant stake, but not a real plant stake that I made, saying poppy, because of course those are Georgia O'Keeffe's poppies on that other page. Love her work, love her as a human being as well. And yeah, this lady here, she is an avid gardener and she is just so proud of her work. She won the #1 prize for this that she grew, and I'm thinking it's a rhododendron. I'm not positive what that flower is, but she did a fantastic job, took it to the fair, and won first prize. So she's happy, she's excited. She definitely captured the magic. And here's the tiniest of little journaling cards ever. Just can't miss an opportunity to stick something in somewhere. Have to do it. But no, look at, isn't she proud? She's so proud. So there's a nice place on the back to document all about what she planted in her winnings. And in here, I made a little, sort of like a trifold journaling card, if you will, and fussy cut some beautiful lily of the valley on the back. And inside, I did a little belly band and I fussy cut all these beautiful flowers out for you and that urn and the butterfly. There's a little lace pocket down there. And this is for you to have fun if you wish and try your hand at doing some arranging with the paper flowers. Just in case you want to have some fun. And you don't have to do it on this page. I'm just kind of showing you an example. Yeah, and that's not probably how I would do it. This is just on the fly real quick. If you'd like to see a video on, you know, how I would do this, I'd love to share one with you. And yeah, you can have the butterfly on it or kind of flying toward it, or just kind of think of a story, you know, in your mind. That's what I do when I collage. I think of a story and it helps me tell a story with fussy cutting that I and arrange them on paper and tell my own little story. So there she is, and there she goes. Oh, and that little pocket on the bottom, I embossed that paper and then put some ink and also some gold wax. And here's some graph paper for you and vintage ledger. Because, you know, if you have a garden bed, every spring I'll document and out, you know, I'll draw out some boxes and things and draw out my bed. And you can have each box on the paper equal a certain measurement, like one box could be 1 foot or a half a foot, or if you use the metric system, what have you. But and oh, I love this page. I get so excited when I see this page. I'm like, ooh. I couldn't resist fussy cutting one of my little black swan tags and putting it on the paper clip there for you. And I love birds, with gardening, because they're always flying around when I'm out there gardening. And I left the writing that somebody did on the vintage ledger. It's so interesting to see things from the past. And here's a little pocket that I made and another journaling card that goes inside the pocket. And it's a floating pocket, so you can put it wherever you'd like to in the journal or elsewhere. And I just love her. Just love her. And I did, again, a bunch of fussy cutting of flowers and individual images, and then fussy cut that lovely little vintage girl carrying a basket of flowers and made a very large journaling tag with some coffee dyed paper on the back. And I did add a little marker to the basket of flowers and her cheeks. And then over here, I have another envelope that I made. It's got music sheet. Oh, this is kind of fun. There's another one of the stamping I did to create that frame, and then I fussy cut it and cut the center out with an X-Acto knife. And then I put that little die cut of red carnation on the inside, and instead of gluing it down, I thought to make it a little tuck, and you could remove it if you want. And it's a great opportunity for hidden journaling if you wanted to write something short and sweet or not so sweet on the back and then glue it down. To me, that's an excellent indication of hidden journaling spots, because they may be thoughts you don't want anyone else to see, but you want to get off of your chest and out of your heart. And that's a great way to do hidden journaling, is do your journaling, put it in a spot where no one would ever think to find it afterward, and read it. Or glue it down and they definitely won't read it then. And this is kind of fun over here. I made a seed packet with a vintage Rolodex card, and last fall I collected some seeds from morning glories that I was growing and gave some to my neighbor, and I have some extras here. I made a few, so I wanted to give some to you in this journal, and you can plant these this year. And morning glories, they take a while. They usually flower toward the end of the summer, and they need a lot of sun. But anyhow, and on this page, I've got some more of those fun tags. That one says zinnias, and some more of those probably reproduction seed packets, but they could be real. I don't know. But anyway, and then I did some stamping and created a little top tuck on both sides of the page there, and fussy cutting and another one there. And then I made some postcards. I put those on some brown packaging. The digitals, I glued that on to the brown packaging, and then did some stamping on the back to make some fun looking postcards. And here I recently did a video on making these little, I don't even know what to call them. They're just super fun. I have a lot of scrapbook papers from my past that I'm trying to go through and use up. And I made one of these little like mini journals. And here are some real wooden plant stakes. And on that one, I thought I'd be funny and write mojito mint in case you want to have some summertime mojitos, at the end of the day in your garden, kick back, plant some mint. But, some iced tea will do just as well, if you're not into the cocktails. And to be honest, I'm a bit of a health nut, so I don't really drink much. But, to each his own. It's all good. No judgment at all. Here's a cute little tiny paper to do some ever so small documenting on. And a pretty little fairy that I ink blended on some papers and stamped her on. And if you want to use her, you certainly could. You could fussy cut her out or use her just like that. Here's a nice piece of paper to do a lot of documenting on as well. A fun little flip out rotating journaling card there and some pretties on the back. And I love her. Here, I just love this little girl. She has grown this onion out back of this house. She lives in that gorgeous yellow house. And in the backyard is the most stellar vegetable garden. And she is so young. She's like a prodigy. She's just got the knack, the green thumb. So she just grew like the most largest, yummiest onion, and she's proud. So yeah. What am I doing here? Man, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm just putting the journal back together. Sorry about that. It can be hard to do voiceovers. Anyhow, so, ooh, yeah, this is fun too. We've got a fun flip out page here. It's a pretty big, pretty thick card, I meant to say. So it's good for writing on. And this little cute vintage squirrel has found his nut and he's so happy. Lots of writing space on the back. And the flowers did appear on Earth. And I'm flipping to the front because I just loved when I found that vintage squirrel because I had that greeting card squirrel in my stash. And I don't know, they're like little kindred spirits, little buddies. And here's a lovely dish of strawberries that you hopefully successfully grew. And it's serving as a little pocket for some information on plants and their companions and then their enemies, what not to plant next to things and what enhances things when you plant next to things. And there's a few more pages of those as well throughout the journal. But here's a cute little journaling card, and I don't know if she's happy about growing that apple. She almost looks like maybe her mom made her do it. I'm not sure. But anyway, and yeah, this one also slips out the bottom. And here I was just showing you if you ever have a fussy cut that you don't want to lose part of the image in a certain situation, you can always like cut it and still have it there with still being able to have your functionality. In this case, I wanted to pull the tag up and down out of the pocket. So yeah, that's just a little thing you can do. And here is some more of those companion plantings and enemy plantings. Another little swivel and another journaling tag here. So there's lots of room to write all the successful plants that you grew, maybe take some photos of some of the favorite things that you grew. And I have a couple of large seed packet envelopes that I thought photos maybe could go in or paste on the pages. And here I was just showing you that's your garden. That's the beautiful garden you're going to grow. And hopefully you live in that cute cottage too. And yeah, that moves and swivels out, so you have plenty of room to write there. And that information is more companion and enemy planting. And here's another, this is a Tim Holtz die cut in the top left corner there that I chose to use for a tuck. And this is a book page of growing onions, and it's got the cutest little quote on it. I can't remember it at the moment, but hopefully you could read it there. And it's a super nice feeling book page. And I folded it in half for durability and secured it down to paper that I did some off stamping on. When I do stamping, I have a paper near me where I stamp off onto it to clean my stamp. And sometimes those papers come out looking really beautiful, and then I use them. So, and there's a journaling card inside there with, of course, more space to write all the successful things you've grown. And a little piece of paper there, just put paper wherever I can. Just for the fun of it, the surprise of it. Then there's another little piece of paper you can write some notes on or do whatever you'd like with. Another one of those little plant stakes I made. For that peony right there. And on this greeting card I was just showing you, I inked some of it up to enhance it. I put that, fussy cut that peony and put in the middle, and also fussy cut the butterfly to enhance it. So, and here's the back side of that greeting card, and here's what I did with that. So, you know, you can do things with your cards and change them completely. So there's a little bunny rabbit pocket. That's a digital from Victoria Designs, and there's a vintage book page from the Wildflower book. And here I'm just showing you how I chose to put the pocket down in a way that didn't cover up the stamping I did on the edge of the paper. And here's another little journaling card with some cedar wax wings, and I love this card here with the rabbit. You are my sunshine. And I was just showing you how I stenciled over those as well. And here is this pretty serious gardener woman. But here I'm just showing you how it's nice sometimes to have a surprise behind what you're pulling out. And sometimes I think about that and really go to town and try to just enhance everything. So when you pull out a tag, there's something pretty behind the tag. But the strawberries is a postcard that I had made. This I'm showing you is a writing board. It's very thick and hard. So if the journal gets bulky, you can always place this behind any page that you'd like to write on, and you have a nice hard writing surface at any time. And here's one of the centers of the signatures. Here's one of those large seed envelopes I was talking about that you could put photos in, or note-taking, or anything you want to, really. Poetry. But I envisioned photos for some reason. In the paper clip on the left, I stamped and fussy cut that little ginkgo biloba leaf and glued it down on there. And I also did some stamping with a background stamp with green ink on that pink paper. And in here they're all lined with book pages or music pages. They're different. Lots of writing space. And here is another one of those little surprises. And I used a flower fussy cut, and I created a pocket, a double-sided pocket. So when I turn the page, the back side of that pink rose or peony, I'm not sure, but when you turn the page, the back side of it also serves as a pocket. So I just kind of wrapped it around after I cut it out and put a couple of postcards there. And beneath there is some mixed media I did on some packaging. I think it might have been a vitamin box or something like that, and created that pocket there. Another little paper clip there with the word imagine. Here's some stamping, and first I ink blended on this paper, and then I stamped on it and fussy cut this out for you to put wherever you'd like. More seed packets. And here's a big journaling card with a pocket that I embossed with a embossing machine. Oh, that didn't make it on camera. Up top I was showing you there's some adorable stamped green bunny rabbits. It's definitely a tall journal. It's like a tall and skinny, but it's not skinny. Here's another one of those wannabe vintage seed packets. They may be vintage, but I really think they are reproductions. And here's just a little piece of a digital, and I watercolored on the back, and if you want to take any notes. And a little bird you could fussy cut or use the way that it is. And there's some more of my dyed papers. I created a little pocket and little journaling card there with a little swallow. And on the back, some more writing space. And I love this girl here. She means business, I think, if you look at her face. um, she grew this pear and she's pretty serious about it, and she's pretty proud of it, and she means business. Those garden shears are large and she's in charge. Don't mess with her. But no, just kidding. She's really quite lovely, and I love the pear that she's so proud of. That little pocket there is some tissue paper that I decoupaged onto some packaging to make a pocket. And there's another paper clip with some fussy cut glued down onto it. Lots of writing space with some feathers there. And here's a fun little piece of ephemera. And I'm so sorry this didn't get on camera, but I'm just showing you in case you wanted to put some tabs on some of the pages to strengthen the edges. I'm including some tabs for you, and I included a label as well. And then I just thought this was hysterical, those children with that huge melon. And the back side is I think a bill, a COD bill for some kind of produce or something like that. And here's another seed packet. And I don't know if you all know, but with a lot of your perennials and some of your annuals, you can collect the seeds at the end of the summer and put them in a little seed packet, keep them somewhere cool and dark, and you'll have free seeds for new plants next year. So that's why I put a lot of seed packets in. And that's one of my favorite stencils that is from Lavinia Stamps. And here is, I got this out of it might have been like in her studio or Somerset Studio or something like that, out of a magazine, and made a little envelope and just loved the picture of it. And it said something else, so I just wrote the word studio and covered it up there. And inside are some definitely nice, informative pieces of information about composting and building garden boxes. And hopefully that's helpful to you. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I try to frame my pages with the stamping in some cases, and this is one of them, where I've got the leaf stamp sort of going around in the four corners. In case you like that, just a little tip for you to try it yourself. And here's a greeting card that I made. I do make greeting cards and sell them in a few shops. That information on the back is not valid, so don't pause it and look at it. I should have covered it. But anyway, and what I intended that card to be is if you want to write what you got for yield at the end of the year, you know, your different varieties and how well they did, how well they yielded, what weather you had, if it was good, you know, lots of rain, not much rain, how much water it got, how much sun it got, that kind of thing. Those kind of notes help for future growing years. And the daffodil little trifold is just a lot more places you can document on. And there's another one of those proud little people, and he's grown that lovely pumpkin or squash, or I'm not really sure, but it kind of looks like a pumpkin. And here's a little mini journal that I made and with a embossing machine and a die cut, and put some old book pages, some scrapbook papers, some stamping, and this lovely little girl. She's so cute with her bouquet. Just a little booklet for you to do whatever you wish with. Take notes, put pictures in, collage, and then another one of those large seed packets. And that's it. And it's all lined and everything like the others. And thank you so much. And this journal is for sale. If you're interested, in the description box in this video, I'm going to have my email address, and please email me and let me know. And then we can make arrangements for it to be sent to you. Thank you so much. I really had a lot of fun creating this. I'm excited to tell you that I'm deciding on whether to start an Etsy shop or my own website. I would like to make journals, also ephemera, and I have many, many, many beautiful ephemera pieces of original antiques and vintage papers, photos, so many different things, jewels, fabric, and I love putting things together, curating a collection. I really love doing that. So I think I'm going to maybe put some kits together and start a shop. So if you're interested, please stay with me and maybe we can have some fun together and make things together. And if you have any requests or any questions, I'm here for you. Anything you'd like to see as a tutorial, just leave me a comment and I'll help you out. Thank you so much. Bye.